Have you ever said something that was true, but the moment you said it, everything went wrong? The other person got defensive, the room changed, the energy dropped, and suddenly the message you wanted to deliver never actually landed. That happens every day, in relationships, in business, in leadership, in parenting, in teams, in conversations that matter. And most people think the problem is the message itself, but often it's not. Often the problem is temperature, because the same sentence can create trust or tension. The same truth can open a person or make them shut down. The same intention can lead to action or resistance. So in this video, I want to show you a simple metaphor, one that can completely change the way you communicate with people. It's called the Hob Technique. And once you understand it, you'll start hearing communication differently forever. Good evening, everyone. Today I want to talk about something simple but extremely powerful. And it's not just about what you say, it's about how you say it. Because communication is never only about words. It's about timing. It's about sequence. It's about emotional readiness. And that matters more than most people realize. Because here's the truth. The same message can create understanding or resistance. It can build trust or destroy it. It can lead to action or complete shutdown. And the difference is not always the content. Very often, it's the delivery. It's the pace, the entry point, the emotional temperature you start with. So to explain this in the clearest way possible, I'm going to use a very simple metaphor: a glass, a stove, and heat. It sounds basic, but inside that basic image, there's a principle that can help you become more effective in every important conversation you have. With your partner, with your team, with your clients, with an audience, with anyone you want to influence without forcing. Imagine this. You take a glass of water and you place it on a stove. Now you have two options. Option 1, you place that glass directly on a boiling hot hob. What happens? The glass breaks. Why? Because the shock is too extreme. The material is not prepared. The transition is too violent. The temperature jumps too fast. Now let's look at option 2. You place that same glass on a cold hob, and then slowly you increase the temperature. Cold, lukewarm, warm, hot, boiling. Now what happens? The glass adapts. It expands gradually. It adjusts to the change. It survives the heat because the heat was introduced in a way the glass could handle. And this is the lesson. People are exactly like that glass. If you deliver a message too fast, too intensely, too directly, they break emotionally. Not always on the outside, but on the inside. They resist. They defend themselves. They shut down. They stop hearing you. And the tragic part is this. You may be completely right, but because the temperature was wrong, your message still fails. So if you want someone to accept a message, you cannot start at boiling. You have to guide them through temperature levels. Level 1, cold, awareness. At this stage, you are not forcing anything. You are opening the door. Level 2, lukewarm, understanding. Now the person begins to see what you mean. Level 3, warm, acceptance. This is where resistance starts to soften. The person begins to emotionally recognize the truth. Level 4, hot, engagement. Now they are involved. They are mentally and emotionally present. And level 5, boiling, action.
Now the message can move. Now change becomes possible. Now you can ask for a decision, a shift, a commitment, a next step. This is what great communicators do. They don't throw people into heat, they lead them into it. And that single difference is often what separates conflict from cooperation. Let's make this real. Imagine you're in a relationship and you want to say this: "You never listen to me." Now, if you started boiling, it sounds like this: "You never listen to me. You don't care." And what happens next? Defensiveness, argument, distance. Not because the need is fake, not because the issue doesn't matter, but because the temperature is too high, too early. Now let's use the Hob technique. Cold. "Hey, can I share something with you?" Lukewarm. "I've been feeling a bit unheard lately." Warm. "Sometimes when I talk, I feel like my words don't fully land." Hot. "I think it's important for me to feel listened to." Boiling. Action. "Can we work on that together?" Same message, completely different result. One approach attacks, the other invites. One creates a wall, the other creates a bridge. And this is important. Soft delivery is not weakness. It is strategic emotional intelligence. Because when people feel safe, they listen longer, they understand faster, and they resist less.
Now, let's move to the workplace. You're a manager. An employee is underperforming. If you go straight to boiling, you might say, "You're not doing your job properly." Technically direct, but emotionally expensive. Because what does it create? Stress, fear, resistance. The person is no longer focused on growth, they're focused on self-protection. Now watch the difference when you guide the temperature. Cold. "Can we review how things are going?" Lukewarm. "I've noticed some challenges in recent tasks." Warm. "I think there's potential to improve performance here." Hot. "I'd like to help you grow in this role." Boiling. Action. "Let's create a plan together." Now the conversation changes completely. Instead of humiliation, you create direction. Instead of fear, you build ownership. Instead of pushing someone into a corner, you position them for development. That is leadership. Because real leadership doesn't just point at the problem. It prepares the person to face it without shutting down. Now, imagine you're an entrepreneur, a founder, or someone leading a team through change. You need people to work harder, or adapt faster, or move in a new direction. If you started boiling, you say, "We need to change everything starting tomorrow." And what does that create? Panic, resistance, confusion. People don't just hear the instruction, they feel the shock. Now, listen to the Hob Technique version. Cold. "I want to share where the company is going." Lukewarm. "The market is evolving." Warm. "We have an opportunity to grow." Hot. "This will require us to adapt." Boiling. Action. "Here's the new direction and how we'll do it together." That last part matters, together. Because when people feel included in the transition, they are far more likely to support the change. This is how you lead without forcing. This is how you move people without making them feel pushed off a cliff. Great teams don't only need vision, they need a temperature-managed path into that vision. Now take this to a larger scale. A leader addressing a nation, a public speaker addressing an audience, someone standing in front of many people
asking them to move, adapt, believe, or act. If that leader begins with, "We must change immediately or we will fail," yes, it may sound powerful, but power without preparation often creates rejection. People feel fear, they feel pressure, they feel spoken at, not guided. Now listen to the temperature-managed version. Cold. Let's reflect on where we are today. Lukewarm. We are facing challenges. Warm. These challenges also bring opportunities. Hot. We need to take responsibility. Boiling. Action. Together, we will move forward with this plan. That is why some speeches unite and others divide. Because people follow more easily when they feel guided, not manipulated, not shocked, not emotionally cornered. Guided. And when a communicator can do that at scale, they don't just transmit information, they move people. So why does this work? Because humans are not logical first, we are emotional first. And when emotions are shocked, logic shuts down. That's why you can be completely correct and still fail to convince someone. Not because truth has no value, but because truth delivered at the wrong temperature feels like an attack. The Hob technique works because it respects emotional adaptation. It gives the nervous system time. It gives the mind context. It gives the heart room to stay open. And when that happens, 4 things change. You build trust gradually. You reduce resistance. You increase influence, and you create a far better chance of action. That is why calm, structured communication is not just polite, it is powerful. Because influence is not about overpowering people. It is about leading them through a process they can emotionally survive. So whenever you need to communicate something important, ask yourself 3 questions. Am I starting too hot? Did I prepare the person emotionally? Am I guiding or forcing? And here is the golden rule. If the reaction is too strong, the temperature was too high. That one sentence alone can change the way you communicate forever. Because it makes you stop blaming only the other person's reaction and start examining your own delivery. Maybe the message was necessary, but the timing was wrong. Maybe the truth mattered, but the entry point was too aggressive. Maybe the outcome you wanted was possible, but you tried to reach boiling without earning the journey through cold, lukewarm, warm, and hot.
So the next time you want to deliver a message, remember the glass, remember the hob, and ask yourself, am I breaking the glass or helping it adapt? Because great communicators do not just speak. They control the temperature. And the people who master that don't just get heard more, they create more trust, more influence, better relationships, stronger teams, and more meaningful results. If this message helped you, take one important conversation in your life this week and lower the temperature at the start. You may be surprised by how differently people respond. And if you want to go deeper into communication, influence, emotional control, or leadership, this is the kind of skill that changes everything once you practice it. I'll see you in the next one.